Kanji. Maybe you're fed up of trying to abstractly cram the multiple readings of each character into your brain, or you simply have no method to bring sound to the blotches of ink that you stare at with suffering. Fear no more. I like things that are easy to follow and require minimum effort when it comes to learning and reviewing. Fortunately, I've put this video together in order to explain how you can begin reading Japanese in that exact manner. Before I get straight into some of the general habits of kanji and how it works, we need to pause to evaluate your Japanese level. Beginners often feel pressure to dive simultaneously into the oral and written aspects of their target language. This is actually what could be slowing the progress of learners drastically. When you learned your home language, I doubt your parents were throwing novels down your throat when you were 3. It took a while for you to orally grasp the language and then translate that knowledge onto what was printed. Granted, it took you a bit longer than needed since your brain had to develop and stuff like that. Language is born from oral nature and afterwards comes the written aspects. You probably know about loads of people in the world that can't read and write, but how many do you know that can read and write in a language but are unable to speak or listen? Excluding physical ailments, that number is probably little to none. So if your vocabulary and comfort in Japanese is limited, it will be more than worth your time to focus on the oral aspects. I've linked the video for people in your position in the description. However, if you feel you are reasonably used to the language, the next step is to be able to understand the kanji. This means that you can with relative ease recognize, not recall, a character and be able to differentiate it from others in contexts. A bonus is to be able to have an English meaning attached, however vague. To get to this, you could do lazy kanji or remembering the kanji 1. The point is to at least have an entry in your memory of the character, since it becomes much easier to add onto that. Now assuming that you're comfortable in Japanese and in visually differentiating kanji in context, we'll begin with some general behaviors or habits of kanji. There are two main ways of reading kanji. When the kanji is in a word on its own, like takai, or when the kanji is amongst others in the same word, koko. There are many exceptions, but it is usually safe to assume that the character's reading on its own is different to when it is with others. The proper terms for this is kunyomi and onyomi, but really learning those terms is superfluous. In those words used as an example, the character primarily meaning tall is read as taka, but the other kanji becomes ko. This is an example of the reading differences of characters. The great part about already knowing vocab when trying to learn readings for characters is that with the little bit that you know, you can make calculated guesses at how to read it. If you know these two words, then you could make a guess to read this as kuki. Add jibun and you get kibun. If you knew zenzen and anshin, then anzen becomes some simple substitution. With tenin, you can get zenin. If you had problems knowing which sounds fit with which kanji and where they stop, look at this example quick. You've probably heard the word omae before, so clearly mae must be mae. So in the word namae, it is clear that this is na and this is mae. If you go through more detective work like this, it'll become more clear which sounds belong to which character. I'll introduce some more examples. If you know sensei and honjitsu, then senjitsu is easy. Denki reveals half of densha. If you knew jibun, then you could get most of the reading of jitensha. Honto and anshin gets honshin. Knowing saikin and the previously mentioned koko makes saiko easy to read. I think I've proved the point of how simple mixing the readings about can be. There are exceptions to take into consideration, however. Some includes the changes that occur due to making reading words with multiple kanji easier, such as koto, which becomes monomoto, tori to odori, zenkoku to tengoku. This is easy to get used to as the whole readings don't really change, it's just a sound change. It was as if written in hiragana, an addition of a 10-10 sign is all that is done. So what is the most effective way to get your knowledge updating and fresh on the Kanji's readings? The easiest method I recommend is to watch any Japanese media with Japanese subtitles, checking what the people say to the kanji, matching them up, almost like those song lyric timers. The more you watch, the better. I would go as far as saying as the reviewing of kanji you do on subtitled media is more efficient than something like Anki. Reading Japanese media on its own is good, but when you try to learn the sounds kanji is supposed to make, it's like doing a practice paper without a memo. You don't know if it was correct, but subtitles media is great because the answers are handed right to you constantly, and all you have to do is watch series. Sources for subtitled Japanese media is Netflix and YouTube. Perfect examples linked in the description. Be sure to look out for CC on YouTube videos as well. Alright, that's all I got to say about kanji for this video. If you've got any questions, please leave them down below and drop a like. And please consider subscribing to my channel for more videos.